I hope we've got a sound guy back there, because I've got a bit of a loud voice. But it's been a great day so far. Is everyone here having fun? Oh, there's one person that's having fun. Has everyone enjoyed the day? You can talk to me. All right. You know, I was excited about WordCamp. WordCamp is an amazing thing for the WordPress community. The fact is we've got some free software. Free software. That's free in terms of the spirit behind it, free in terms of so many things, and we come and have a not-for-profit event that people from all around the world come and gather and share ideas freely. I mean, that's something to celebrate right there. But on top of that, we've had some great materials today, and I've absolutely loved it so far. And I'm going to say they've saved the best till last, because I get to present right now on one of my favourite subjects, virtual reality on the web. So who am I? My name's Matt Knighton. Look, I'm an ordained minister, I'm a Christian. If you want to know about that, please ask me. But on top of that, I love the freedom that the internet brings businesses, okay? Freedom, think about it. I live in a small country town with 15,000 people in it. I don't have any traffic lights in my town. I never have to say, gee, the jam was bad today, because we don't have one. And the great thing is, because of the connection of the World Wide Web, I have the freedom to engage with businesses right here in Kuala Lumpur. I have most of my customers in Europe, and I still have that lifestyle choice because of the freedom that the internet brings my business. And that freedom is available to every business. And it's getting more immersive and engaging because of virtual reality. So WebVR, that's what I'm talking about today. Not just virtual reality, but the ability to do virtual reality and engaging materials on websites. This means that you're about to use a headset to actually engage in an immersive experience in virtual reality on a website. So can you imagine having a university with a live streaming event, and you're somebody who's participating in that? Let's say, for example, you're going to Harvard Business School, and you put on a virtual reality headset, and all of a sudden, you're front row, right there in the lecture hall at Harvard Business, and yet in real reality, you're sitting here in a hotel room in Malaysia. That is now a real viable way to connect on the internet using live streaming with video for virtual reality. And I'm going to show you not only what we can do, but how to do that today. So web and AR is the future for this very reason. It's immersive. Okay? Augmented reality is immersive in a different way than you've ever had before. For example, if I want to know how to use this Canon camera here that's filming me, I can put an augmented reality set of glasses on and have somebody show me with their hands exactly how to use that, as if it's in reality. And WebVR, well, we're going to be able to do that through the web. This means that you don't have to install a heavy app, you don't need any of these different things, you can actually just pick up your mobile phone and begin to use these experiences straight from the browser. That's a big, big change. And right now, Google, Mozilla, and Microsoft Edge have made big commitments to make sure that virtual reality is an actual reality for us on the web. And you can do it right away. So one thing to remember, of course, is we have to keep in mind progressive enhancement with these things. What does that mean? It means that if I've got a virtual reality photo of a hotel room, I need to be able to still use that with my mouse and drag it around, as well as then enhance that if my mobile phone happens to have a VR headset available, or if I'm looking in the Oculus Rift browser, browsing the internet, I'm able to see a button to take me into that immersive experience in VR, okay? And that's what we're really talking about today, using browsers in VR and then being able to step into that. So one of the most common ways that we're seeing VR being used right now is in photography. Has anybody here taken a VR photo before and posted it online? Well, I have, that's why my hand's raised. All right, well, all of you can. Have you seen them? Have you seen anyone post anything online that's VR? Come on, show your hands. I need to know, who am I talking to? So you have. All right, excellent. So what basically happens is we have a camera like this one right here. This is a Samsung Gear camera. For those of you that can see it well, it has two lenses on each side. And see how it looks like a ball? Well, imagine sticking your head in the middle of the ball and having the photo stitched all the way around the outside of that ball. You can move your head left, right, all around and see the photo. And this is how we have that immersive experience inside Street View. If you go online and look at the hotel right here in Google Maps, you will see virtual reality photos from this morning that I uploaded onto Google Maps in this location of this event. And if you want to share those with your friends, feel free. I give you permission right now to download that if you want to and share it on Facebook or wherever you want to. And that's using Google Maps, of course. Okay? So quite often when you go to Google Maps now for a business, it's actually going to give you better search engine results if you have virtual reality photos on them. So I can tell you that from images because I've tried it with my own local businesses and it works. And all you need is one of those simple cameras. And of course, Facebook takes VR photos as well. We've seen those. I went up to a really nice resort in the Sheraton Mirage Port Douglas, it was called, in Queensland, Australia. Beautiful resort. I had my new gear camera with me at that time, so I was taking photos in the pool. I did a virtual reality pool tour in video so that people could come around that beautiful pool. There's a 4-acre swimming pool there with a virtual beach on the side of it, because as you know, in Australia, everything wants to eat you or sting you or horribly maim you in some way, so you can't go in the ocean. You have to go in the pool. The beach is on the edge of the pool, and I shared that through Facebook, and hundreds of people really enjoyed that and got to experience what it's like in that swimming pool in Port Douglas. So websites for hotels are obviously a big area where all of you need to be aware of this technology right here. It's a photosphere, and if you have any hospitality clients whatsoever, I would say you're doing them a disservice if you don't make sure you get these types of photos and put them on their website. Me and my wife were digital nomads for the first half of this year. We got paid to travel around Australia and do a lot of training for a large corporate company. As we went, we took a lot of photos of different hotels and we shared them online. And we found that the #1 viewed photo of all those types of photos, does anyone want to take a guess of what it was? What do you think the most viewed photo type would be? No, it's not food. It's actually the toilet. It's the toilet. Everybody wants to make sure that the hotel they're going to has a clean bathroom. So the #1 viewed photos always are the bathroom. So I ended up setting up my tripod over the toilet seat with the virtual reality camera there. But some of these, I would load them up in the morning, and by the evening they had over 100 views of people checking out what the bathroom looks like. I tested it well. I tested all different views. The bedroom, the entryway, the swimming pool, the different aspects of it. Always the #1 view, the toilet. And these are the types of things that we need to be aware of to help our customers. If websites for hotels that you're doing, if people want to see the bathroom and see it's well equipped and clean, we should be sharing those photos and showing it, because that could be the difference between that person getting the booking or not. And obviously there's video as well. Has anyone seen much about virtual reality video? Yeah, you got a couple? Cool, excellent. I really love the video experiences, and you can load them up onto YouTube. If you put my name in there, Matt Knighton, I have a YouTube channel with some VR experiences. One of them, you can go up in a helicopter over that very resort I went into, and you can put on a virtual reality headset if you want, but you can still look at it on YouTube. The other thing about YouTube is a lot of the smart TVs now, you have a remote control, and you can move it around and look around the VR experience now in modern YouTube TVs. So this means that if you're sharing video about a client experience, you can move that video around and look at it. Now, one of the things to be very mindful of with video is that although you can share it in a lot of places, they're big files, okay? So quite often I use things like Facebook, YouTube, Netflix video is another big one. But we're using these platforms to deliver the video in an efficient way. Discovery Channel's done a whole bunch of VR experiences now as well. If you get an Oculus, one of these type of headsets here, this is the Gear, Samsung Gear, you can do VR experiences with Discovery Channel. So if it takes your fancy to go swimming with great whites, but you don't really want to do it, well, you can do it in virtual reality. And then you don't have to worry about being bitten by a giant shark, which is quite a fear of mine. I tell you, when you have a great white shark swing past you and you're on your surfboard, it's pretty scary. Being there, don't want to do it again. All right. So of course, whenever we're making anything on the web, people ask me, what about browser support? Well, there's a great website there, WebVR.rocks. Oh, I thought people might cheer for a second there. But WebVR rocks. You can go on there and see the support that you have for things, all right? And this means that you can use different frameworks and stuff to start delivering VR through a browser. There's the website right there. You'll see these different browsers down the bottom. And I'm thankful to say that Microsoft Edge is kicking some goals for us. No longer am I hearing people groan quite so deeply as we used to, when people said, can you make sure it works on Internet Explorer? And every developer went, no! Why? Especially when it was IE 7 and 8 days. My goodness. They used to drive me crazy. But thankfully, Windows has really come of age, particularly around the VR experience. So of course we need to talk about platforms today, because even though we have one platform, the web platform, that allows us to freely publish whatever we want anywhere with WordPress, we do have to think about what platform people are going to consume the material with. Okay? So the most basic platform, and where they all start, is the mobile-based platforms. This is when you put your phone in the front of a viewer. Okay, so we've got the Cardboard, Daydream, and Gear VR. These are the most accessible items right now, and I have all three of these here to be able to give you a bit of an overview about them. So we've got a Cardboard right here. This is Google Cardboard. It's a cardboard box. It's got a number of lenses in one side, okay? And you can download the Cardboard app and you put your phone in the front of it, just like so. Open up the Cardboard app, close it, and you're ready to go and experience VR, just like that. Pretty cool, huh? Has anyone used one of these before? Can you raise your hands? Yeah, fair few of you. Who would like to have one but has never used it before? Someone put their hand up. You want to experience this, but you've never used it before? Yep, you're at the back. Here you go. You can take this one. It's yours. Gift to you from Matt. Enjoy VR. All right. There you go. Now, when it comes to these VR experiences, let's think about this. Today, Yoast gave us some pretty awesome gifts, didn't they? Did anyone pick up some Lego blocks? I did. Fidget spinners. How much do you reckon those would have cost Yoast to deliver here today? $10 maybe a person? Maybe a bit more? I think those Lego pieces, those Lego men are about $5 US each. So if we took two, that's $10 US, plus the fidget spinner, maybe another $5 US. And yet these VR headsets, these Gear Cardboard headsets, you can get them printed up for about $10. So again, thinking on where we are with VR right now, let's say you have a hospitality client. You might have a different type of client. Maybe they're New Balance shoes, and you want to be able to show that shoe better. Well, you could have your expo and see the shoes there, but you could actually have VR experiences where you put the headset on, give them away with New Balance branding, and they can take a look at the whole range of shoes with that shoe right in front of their eye in virtual reality. Okay? These are the kinds of things we need to start thinking about as web developers. Now we have our next level. So we've got our bottom level, which is the cardboard controllers, or most of the cheap virtual reality headsets you see in the shop. Those plastic ones that are between $20 and $50, so they'd be between 60 ringgit, maybe 50, 60 ringgit and 150 ringgit. Okay, they're a headset that you put your mobile phone into. Is everyone familiar with the type of thing I'm talking about? Now, none of these have a controller, but when we come to Daydream, you have a controller. See, this one matches the photo. But the controller then allows you to start doing things. So with Daydream, you have the ability to go fishing, for example, and I can cast my line with my hand controller and see it. I can also begin to move around. So at the moment, we've been testing a new virtual reality walkthrough experience for WordPress. We're looking at making it Gutenberg compatible, so you'll be able to insert it with a shortcode kind of setup with one of these new blocks. But imagine if you're here and I'm stood on stage in virtual reality. I don't want to stay stuck here. I want to be able to move. And the latest WebVR tools allow us to point the wand where I want to go, and you may have balls or something like that in your environment, and I can click it and it will take me to that location. Okay? So I can begin to move around with my photospheres for these kinds of tours. Now, of course, if you've got video, that might not be as much of a problem, but one of the issues with video is people are being taken on a journey, aren't they? They can't control where they're moving. So again, we're focusing on video and photos with these mobile experiences. You can do interactive experiences using some frameworks that I'm going to talk about. So I don't think I've ignored that. We're going to get to it, okay? But when it comes to the next level up, we have HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and PlayStation VR. Has anyone used any of these in the crowd? Yep, some of you have. Excellent. These are really the next level, but there's a couple of things that are a bit of a problem with them. The biggest is they're expensive, all right? And you need a pretty huge computer to run them. The other new one that's just come out is Windows Mixed Reality. This is something that's really exciting me because not only are they a little bit cheaper headsets, they're easier to set up, okay? And they work on lower powered computers. So it's going to make VR more accessible. It's also a platform that has a doorway into augmented reality. So we're not staying in virtual reality. You know, these headsets here, they're always going to be virtual reality. You're never going to do augmented reality with these. But when it comes to Windows Mixed Reality, notice how they all have cameras on the outside of the headsets. This means that if I decided to set this whole room as my playing space, I can use the whole room. And the cameras would pick up when I'm about to crash into something and put a blue mesh in the screen for me. So if I wanted to play something like Call of Duty and run around in the game and I had this much space, I could actually do that with mixed reality, okay? Just be careful not to trip over the cables. They are still tethered. But again, we still do need some pretty beastie computers out there. And whenever you see that VR ready kind of logo on any computer, it's generally an expensive PC. You're looking at generally needing something like 16 gigs of RAM, a GTX 1060 graphics card, and an i5 core processor generation 7 or generation 8 for the i5s. The i7s can go back to a Gen 4 i7 processor. If you don't have something like that, which isn't really that common, you can't run these other experiences. Okay? So something to remember. We need to remember that right now, we've only just got past the innovator stage to what we call the early adopter stage for these tools. What does that mean? It means that over the past couple of years, there's only been people like myself. The demigods, I think we were called earlier today. We're the guys that live on the green screen, command line, and you know, our happy place is writing bash scripts, right? You know? We're talking the early adopter kind of guys that go out and they don't care if it costs 10 grand for a headset, they just have to have it, and we live our lives buying this stuff. That's early adopter, that's that like innovator stage, isn't it? However, you get to the next stage, it's what we call the early adopter. And again, we're happy to buy things, but they're the people that have things like a Samsung Note 8 phone right now. You're an early adopter. You like the technology, you want that early adoption. And right now, Daydream and Gear VR headsets are getting into what we call the early adopter phase. This means that we're starting to get saturation in the market and regular usage from people that aren't tech heads. Okay? We're talking people outside of the technology industry starting to use this stuff on a regular basis. What's regular? Well, generally, most people that own one of these Daydream headsets from Google, they're generally spending 2 sessions a week, 40 minutes each. They do not use it in business hours, they use it generally in the evening, once during the week, and once on the weekend. Average session time, 40 minutes. If we compare that to the mobile phone, it's a very different experience for people, isn't it? So when it comes to using these tools, we need to remember that. So WebVR tools, what do we actually have to make the stuff? You know, frameworks. We had Bootstrap, which all of a sudden made responsive real easy for us. Did anyone here make responsive websites before Twitter Bootstrap framework? Nobody did? A couple did? Who liked making responsive websites before we had frameworks? Nobody. You know, it was painful, okay? And the same thing's happening with WebVR right now. We've got a couple of really interesting frameworks coming, and the best one that I've seen so far is called aframe.io. You can go to that address. It's made by Mozilla, and it's a bunch of web components that allow us to very easily start to do VR. The wonderful thing about this is it works on cardboard. It works for Daydream with the Daydream hand controller. It will work with Gear, with the Gear controller, and it even works on your Vive and Windows mixed reality headsets with the hand controllers. This means we can start to make immersive, engaging experiences in A-Frame I/O. What type of things can we do? Well, if you've got a customer who's an architect, they can render an OBJ file, put it directly into A-Frame, and someone can move around that 3D rendered house directly on aframe.io. That's all of a sudden broken down a big barrier, because beforehand we had to make everything with Canvas, 3.js, these kinds of things. It took a long time. A-Frame's broken down a lot of those barriers. And because it's web components, it's really quite easy to use. You just say, I want a photo on the page, and here's my photos for you. I want a video gallery, here it is. It's quite easy to use. It's not quite perfect yet. It still takes a little while to get used to. But it's much better than having to work out trigonometry and pi mathematics to work out where you are in a 3D space. It takes a lot of that pain out for you. The other big one, of course, is 3.js. Has anyone used 3.js before or heard of it? Nobody? Anybody? One? Yeah, cool. 3.js is the type of tool you would use to make games in JavaScript on the web. You may also use it for things like animated banners. Anything that you're moving where you move things around in a 3D space, 3.js was designed for that. Because of this, it lends itself very well to virtual reality, and there's a few components you can pull into a library to help you do that. Google is using 3.js with some of their tools that are available at the moment, so you can make virtual reality with JavaScript. Another big one, of course, is React VR, but we all know how favourable React is right now in the WordPress community, so I'll go past that. I don't really like it. Okay. It's just because you have to compile everything and compile and compile. It's just a little bit more tricky than the other ones. Other mentions. The Flow Player VR video player. If you want to put video on a website that's virtual reality, okay, you don't want to put all your videos on YouTube because you want to put them behind a gate. Let's say, for example, you're using LearnDash. You can use the Flow Player VR video player. You do have to pay for a license, but it's pretty easy to use. One thing, whenever you're using Flow Player, be careful with the video that you're uploading. I did some tests earlier in the year. We had 4K video being delivered, and it was just painful because nothing could play the video. And to give you an idea, my MacBook Pro, it's the previous generation, cannot play 4K VR video without dropping frames. It's not powerful enough. So if you're going to do video from your own player, keep that in mind. You need to stuff around with some compression and things. When it comes to capturing VR, there's some great tools out there. The Gear VR camera, which I have, this is an older tool, just over $100. This is really where I'd suggest you start. It's not good for video, but it's great for photos. If you've got clients that need that stuff, use that one. The other one is the Garmin Verb 360 video camera. I've got one here. This is excellent for video. It stabilizes your movements by itself, and it joins the video, stitches the two sides of the lenses together for you on the camera. So you pull an MP4 off the stick on this, and it's ready to use and put into your Adobe Premiere, and off you go. Excellent camera. They're my two picks at the moment. The other one you might want to look at is the Xiaomi camera. Okay? Let's keep moving along. Skybox and Adobe. Adobe this year released a whole bunch of tools inside Premiere and After Effects that lets you easily deal with your VR photos, okay? Take a look at the stuff online. It has become so easy to start to do VR video now in Premiere. You can just drag and drop an action on it, and your text is flat in the sphere of the video. Very, very easy to use. So let's talk about the users a little bit and how they're engaging with VR, and we'll start to talk about how we can use this. So as I said, 40 minutes a week, all right, per session. Generally 2 sessions. They all have longer session times. By the way, I don't suggest you go for a walk outside with a VR headset on. I don't think you'll have a very immersive experience. I think you'll have an accident. So another thing to think about is video is what people are watching, okay? It's sometimes the people are just sat in a cinema watching their Netflix movie. But I mean, you know, if you think about it, wouldn't it be kind of nice to have this screen in your own home with your lazy boy right there to watch your movies? Well, you can do that in VR right now. So that's a very heavy use case. Over 50% of all session time recorded on the Daydream headset is people watching video, whether it's VR video or other types of video, okay? VR is really about video right now. The other thing I want to really highlight is no one has a proven formula when it comes to VR, or WebVR for that matter. We're yet to have our Angry Birds, or our Worms app, you know, or our Tetris, or our Snake game. That hasn't been invented for VR yet. Maybe someone in this room might be the person to invent that amazing breakthrough product, but we don't have one yet, okay? So that's something to think about. When it comes to VR in WordPress, where are we at? That's a big question and a good question to ask. If I go onto wordpress.org, there's this plugin, the WP VR View. I was using this for about a year. It started to just stop working recently. If you look at most of the comments, it's not working the way it should, and I never got it to work properly for video. We only used it for photos. We've recently rebuilt one. I was hoping to have it in the repository by today, but I've just had a busy couple of weeks and I didn't get to get it into the repo. But if you keep an eye out, maybe follow us on Twitter on Divi Framework or something like that, you'll see a tweet come out within the next couple of weeks with a new VR viewer in the WordPress repository designed with the latest testing done with all these headsets. So you know it's going to work, okay? And we'll give you a few videos on how to use it and that kind of stuff. There is open code in other places that you can use. So some of them are things like web experiments, stuff like this, okay? One of the most exciting projects I have though, that I've been working on for the past year, is a Farm VR project. And this is actually called Farm VR. Pretty original name, pretty snappy. Farm VR, it's a virtual reality farm experience. And we made the backend in WordPress. So the whole backend uses REST API with WordPress advanced custom fields. We load all of our videos in a backend on the Akamai Edge CDN to deliver those videos across the world, and we use Google Cloud to deliver the REST API. The front end is built in Unity 3D. This is a full-blown 3D application where you can engage with content. It works on iPad in a regressive way. So you can use it on an iPad and just move the iPad around to look around in your 360-degree virtual reality experience. It works on Android, of course. It works on the Gear VR, and we're just about to launch the Steam version for the HTC Vive headset. This works in line with the Australian curriculum, and it's allowing us to actually go into schools and teach the high-level students going for HSC in Australia who are doing agriculture to give them experiences. You can go diving off Tasmania and swim with the salmon in a salmon farm and see the life cycle all the way through. You can fly in a drone over a cotton paddock to see how that cotton is grown over that crop. You can ride on the back of a horse and round up Brahma bulls in northern Australia, all inside the VR experience. You can shear a sheep, you can do all this kind of stuff. But I learned a lot of things when I did this. First thing was be careful with shortcodes with your REST API. Sometimes you pull stuff out of the REST API and it's full of shortcodes. You need to be careful what shortcodes you're using and what part of the life cycle they're being used. We just made a rule, no shortcodes. Pretty simple. It helped us answer the issue that we had. We made everything with ACF advanced custom fields. We extended the API for these extra fields to deliver the content to the front end, okay? When it came to video, we made sure that we rendered multiple versions and allowed people to detect what version they needed to display. We went from 720p up, okay? So we could deliver fast video. The other thing we learned is that although there's a lot of great technology around VR, when you're using mobile phones, you've got to be really careful about using your memory because VR is a massive memory hog, okay? So something to keep in mind. Anyway, look, I hope you guys have got a little bit more of an understanding today about what you can do with VR. Again, my recommendation to get started is to use the Gear 360 with photos. Load them to Street View for your customers and things like that. My second recommendation is if you want to go further, start doing virtual reality experiences in video, use YouTube and that kind of stuff using one of these boys, the Garmin Verb 360 camera. And finally, take a look at the frameworks that are there, start playing with them, get yourself a Google Cardboard and start to understand the virtual reality engagement. Maybe you'll be the next star.